Picture a medical school classroom. Rows of future doctors hunched over textbooks that weigh more than their backpacks. They are memorizing anatomy, pharmacology, pathology, the mechanics of the human body broken down into systems and subsystems. Thousands of hours of study, hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition. And yet there's one fundamental discovery about human health that will never appear in their curriculum, not because it does not work, but because it works too well. And if people understood it, the entire medical industrial complex would lose the customers it depends on to survive. What I am about to share with you was not discovered once. It was discovered independently by the ancient Egyptians, the Chinese, the Indians, the Greeks, the Mayans, and civilizations across Africa and the Pacific Islands. Cultures separated by oceans and thousands of years, with no contact, no trade routes, no shared language. And yet every single one of them came to the exact same conclusion about what keeps human beings healthy and what makes them sick. That is not coincidence. That is evidence. When isolated groups across the entire planet discover identical truths without communicating, you are no longer looking at belief. You are looking at something fundamental to human existence itself. Before we go further, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications because what you are about to learn has been actively suppressed, and what is coming in future videos goes even deeper into the knowledge that was never meant to reach you. Right now I want you to do something. Place both hands flat on your stomach just below your ribcage. Take a deep breath and feel your belly expand against your palms. Most people cannot do this correctly anymore. Their breath stays trapped in their chest, shallow and incomplete. This is not natural. Watch a baby breathe. Watch an animal at rest. Their entire body moves with each breath. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we learn to breathe wrong. We learn to live wrong. And that seemingly small distortion is the root of nearly every chronic illness that plagues modern civilization. The ancient Egyptians had a word, sekhem. It referred to the vital life force that animated all living things. Chinese medicine called it qi, Indian Ayurveda called it prana, Greek physicians called it pneuma, Hawaiian tradition called it mana, the Mayans called it its, different words, same concept. Every single one of these civilizations understood that health was not the absence of disease but the free flow of this vital energy through the body. When the energy flows, you are healthy. When it is blocked, you become ill, not sometimes, always. This was not philosophy. This was observable, repeatable, testable medicine practiced successfully for thousands of years. Now walk into a modern doctor's office and mention energy flow. Mention blockages that have nothing to do with cholesterol or blood clots. Watch their face. Watch them reach for the prescription pad or worse, the referral to a psychiatrist. Modern medicine has spent the last century teaching doctors to treat the body like a machine. Broken parts get replaced, malfunctioning systems get medicated, symptoms get suppressed. And the concept of vital energy, the one thing every ancient healing tradition agreed upon, gets dismissed as superstition. But here's what they cannot explain. Acupuncture, the Chinese practice of inserting needles along energy pathways called meridians, has been studied in thousands of clinical trials. It works for chronic pain, it works for migraines, it works for nausea, anxiety, insomnia, and even infertility. The success rate is undeniable. But according to modern anatomy, meridians do not exist. There is no physical structure in the body that corresponds to these energy channels, so modern medicine finds itself in an impossible position. The treatment works, but the mechanism that every ancient doctor understood and relied upon is not supposed to be real. Rather than questioning their own model, they simply ignore the implications. They call it placebo, they call it the needle effect. Anything except admitting that the ancients knew something we have forgotten. Let me take you to ancient India, to the system of medicine called Ayurveda, which has been practiced continuously for over 5,000 years. Ayurvedic doctors did not wait for people to get sick and then treat symptoms. They identified imbalances in the body's energy systems long before physical disease manifested. They understood that illness begins in the subtle body, the energetic template that underlies physical form. By the time a tumor appears or an organ fails, the energetic distortion has been present for months or even years. Treat the energy and the physical body heals itself. This was the foundation of their entire medical system. They had elaborate maps of energy centers called chakras, spinning wheels of light located at specific points along the spine. These were not metaphors. These were observed phenomena reported consistently by practitioners across centuries. When a chakra was blocked or depleted, specific physical symptoms would appear in the corresponding area of the body. A blockage in the solar plexus chakra led to digestive issues. A blockage in the heart chakra led to respiratory and circulatory problems. A blockage in the throat chakra led to thyroid dysfunction and communication difficulties. The correlation was precise and predictable. Modern medicine looks at a thyroid problem and sees a gland producing incorrect hormone levels. Prescribe synthetic hormones, manage the condition for life. Ayurvedic medicine looks at the same problem and asks, what is blocking the energy flow to this area? What is the person not expressing? What truth are they swallowing instead of speaking? Address the energetic root cause and the thyroid often heals itself without pharmaceutical intervention. This is not theory. This is documented in medical literature that exists outside the Western mainstream. But you will never hear about it in medical school because there is no profit in teaching people to heal themselves. Take a slow breath right now. In through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, out through your mouth for 4 counts. Feel your shoulders drop. This is important because what I am about to tell you might make you angry and you need to stay present. The ancient Egyptians built a civilization that lasted 3,000 years. Their medical papyri, some of the oldest written documents in human history, describe a system of medicine based on channels in the body called medu. These channels carried life force from the heart to every organ and limb. Egyptian physicians understood that disease occurred when these channels became blocked or stagnant. Their treatments focused on restoring flow through herbal medicine, physical manipulation, and sacred practices designed to move energy. The Ebers Papyrus, dated to 1550 BCE, contains over 700 remedies and magical formulas. Modern scholars call the magical parts primitive superstition. But when those same formulas are tested, many of them work. The antibacterial properties of honey, the anti-inflammatory effects of willow bark, the healing compounds in frankincense and myrrh. The Egyptians did not understand biochemistry, but they understood results. They observed what worked and built a complete medical system around the flow of vital force through the body. Now look at ancient Greece. Hippocrates, the father of Western medicine, the man whose oath doctors still swear by, based his entire practice on the concept of the 4 humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Modern medicine dismisses this as outdated nonsense, but look deeper. The 4 humors were not literal fluids, they represented 4 qualities of energy in the body: hot, cold, wet, and dry. Health was the balance of these energies, disease was imbalance. Hippocratic medicine treated the whole person, their diet, environment, emotional state, and energetic constitution. It was personalized, holistic, and focused on prevention. Compare that to today, where the same drug is prescribed to millions of people regardless of their individual constitution, and side effects are considered acceptable collateral damage. Let me take you across the ocean. The Mayans at their height had medical knowledge that modern researchers are only beginning to understand. They mapped the body's energy in ways that mirror Chinese meridians and Indian nadis despite having no contact with those cultures. Mayan healers worked with the concept of its, a sacred sap or vital essence that flowed through all living things. They understood that this energy could be influenced by sound, by color, by the position of celestial bodies, and by the focused intention of the healer. Their shamans entered altered states to perceive blockages in a patient's energy field and performed ceremonies to restore flow. When Spanish conquistadors arrived, they witnessed healings they could not explain. Rather than study these methods, they declared them witchcraft and systematically destroyed the knowledge along with the people who carried it. The same pattern repeated across Africa. Thousands of distinct cultures, each with their own healing traditions, and yet a common thread runs through all of them: the understanding that a vital force exists, that it must flow freely, and that illness is always preceded by energetic distortion. Sangomas in southern Africa, medicine men in West Africa, healers in the Ethiopian highlands, all working with the same fundamental principle. They could diagnose illness by reading a person's energy. They could identify blockages through divination, through trance states, through direct perception that modern science has no framework to measure or validate. And because it cannot be measured by current instruments, it gets dismissed entirely. Here is what every single one of these ancient systems understood that modern medicine refuses to acknowledge. The body is not just flesh and bone. It is energy held in a biological container. You are not a solid object. You are a field of vibrating energy that appears solid only because your senses are tuned to perceive it that way. Quantum physics has now confirmed what mystics have said for millennia. At the subatomic level, matter does not exist as we think it does. Particles are waves. Atoms are mostly empty space. The appearance of solidity is an illusion created by electromagnetic forces. You are energy, and energy follows specific laws. It flows, it concentrates, it dissipates, it can be blocked, it can be redirected. And when the flow is disrupted, the system breaks down. This is not mysticism. This is physics applied to biology. Now think about your own body. Think about the last time you felt truly healthy, vibrant, alive. Not just the absence of sickness, but the presence of vitality. When did you last feel that? For most people, it has been years. We have normalized exhaustion. We have accepted that energy declines with age, that chronic pain is inevitable, that medication for life is just part of getting older. But this is not normal. This is the result of living in complete disconnection from the principles that every ancient civilization understood. We breathe shallowly. We eat food that has been stripped of life force. We live under artificial light. We are bombarded with electromagnetic frequencies. We suppress our emotions. We ignore our intuition. We treat our bodies like machines that should function regardless of how we use them. And then we wonder why we are sick. The ancient Chinese medical text, The Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, written over 2,000 years ago, states that the superior physician treats disease before it arises. The inferior physician treats disease after it has manifested. Modern medicine has become entirely focused on the inferior approach. Wait for the problem to appear, then intervene. There is no financial incentive in keeping people healthy. The profit is in managing sickness. A patient who heals completely is a customer lost. A patient on lifelong medication is a revenue stream. This is not conspiracy. This is business model, and it requires that certain knowledge never enters mainstream awareness. Every ancient system taught that energy flows where attention goes. What you focus on grows stronger. This is why meditation works. This is why prayer works. This is why placebo works far more often than medicine wants to admit. Your consciousness directly influences your biology. The mind is not separate from the body. Thought is not separate from matter. They are different expressions of the same energy. When you hold chronic stress, that energy has to go somewhere. It lodges in your tissues. It creates inflammation. It suppresses immune function. It becomes disease. This pathway from emotional state to physical illness is so well documented now that even mainstream medicine has a term for it: psychosomatic illness. But rather than using this understanding to teach people how to heal themselves, they use it to dismiss patients whose problems do not fit into neat diagnostic categories. Place your hand on your chest right now. Feel your heartbeat. That rhythm has kept you alive every moment of your existence. Your body wants to be healthy. It is designed to heal. Every cut closes, every broken bone fuses. Your cells replace themselves continuously. Healing is the default state. Disease is what happens when something interferes with that natural process. The ancients understood this. They worked with the body's innate intelligence rather than against it. Modern medicine treats the body like an enemy that must be controlled, suppressed, and overridden with synthetic chemicals. And we are sicker now than we have ever been, despite having more medical technology than any civilization in history. Here is what they do not teach doctors. Your body has an electromagnetic field. This is not debatable. It can be measured. Your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in your body, 5,000 times stronger than your brain. This field extends several feet beyond your physical form. When two people stand close together, their electromagnetic fields interact and influence each other. This is why you feel drained after being around certain people and energized around others. You are not imagining it, you are experiencing a measurable transfer of energy. The ancients called this many things: aura, light body, energy field. They could see it, they could read it, they could work with it directly, and they built entire medical systems on this foundation. The Polynesians navigated thousands of miles of open ocean without instruments by sensing the energy of the islands before they could see them. Their navigators were trained from childhood to perceive subtle changes in wave patterns, in wind, in the feeling of the ocean itself. This was not superstition. This was refined sensitivity to energy that modern people have completely lost. We have been taught to trust only what machines can measure, and to dismiss our own direct perception as unreliable. But the ancients trusted what they could feel, what they could sense, and what they observed consistently across generations, and it worked. Let me tell you about the Aboriginals of Australia, holders of the oldest continuous culture on Earth, over 60,000 years of accumulated knowledge. Their healers could diagnose illness without touching a patient. They could send healing energy across distances. They understood that sickness often came from spiritual disconnection, from violating sacred law, from being out of harmony with the land. Their healing ceremonies addressed the energetic and spiritual roots of disease, not just the physical symptoms. And people healed, not sometimes, regularly. This knowledge was passed down through oral tradition for thousands of generations until colonization nearly wiped it out. The few elders who still carry this knowledge say the same thing. Modern people are sick because they have forgotten how to live in balance with the energy that sustains all life. Now I need you to understand something critical. This is not about rejecting modern medicine entirely. Surgery saves lives, antibiotics stop infections, emergency medicine is a miracle when you need it. But chronic disease, the conditions that kill most people in developed countries, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, autoimmune disorders, these are not medical problems. These are energy problems manifesting as medical problems, and you cannot medicate your way out of an energy imbalance. You have to address the root cause. Every ancient system knew this. They treated the person, not the disease. They looked at lifestyle, diet, emotional patterns, spiritual health, and energetic flow. Modern medicine looks at lab values and prescribes protocols. One approach has kept people healthy for thousands of years. The other has created the sickest generation in human history, despite spending more on healthcare than any society has ever spent. Take another deep breath, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Longer exhale than inhale. This simple practice, taught in every ancient tradition, activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It shifts your body out of stress mode and into healing mode. It costs nothing, it requires no prescription, it has no side effects, and it works immediately. But you will never see a doctor prescribe breathing as treatment because there is no profit in it. The ancient Indians wrote entire texts on pranayama, the science of breath control. They understood that breath is the bridge between body and energy, between conscious and unconscious, between matter and spirit. Control your breath and you control your state. Control your state and you control your health. This is not mysticism. This is physiology that modern medicine ignores because it empowers patients instead of creating dependence. Here is what I want you to do starting tonight. Before you sleep, place both hands on your lower abdomen. Breathe deeply so your belly rises and falls under your palms. As you breathe, imagine light flowing through your body from the top of your head down through your spine and into the earth. Then imagine it flowing back up, clearing blockages, restoring flow. Do this for 5 minutes, that is all. 5 minutes of consciously directing energy through your body the way every ancient healer understood. You will sleep better. You will wake with more energy, and if you do this consistently, chronic issues that have plagued you for years may begin to shift. Not because I told you some magic technique, but because you are finally working with your body's energy the way it was designed to function. If this information has activated something in you, if you recognize the truth in what every ancient civilization discovered independently, comment the words "I remember" below. Let others who are waking up see that they are not alone. Share this video because the algorithm actively suppresses content that threatens pharmaceutical profits. Like this video so others searching for answers can find it. And subscribe because what is coming goes even deeper into the suppressed knowledge that was never meant to reach you. The ancients were not primitive, they were not superstitious, they were not ignorant, they understood something about reality that we have forgot. And that forgetting has made us weak, sick, and dependent on systems that profit from our suffering. You have a choice. You can continue trusting a medical model that treats you like a machine, or you can remember what your ancestors knew. That you are energy, that energy must flow, and that you have always had the power to heal yourself. The knowledge was never lost, it was just buried, and now you know where to dig. What happens next is up to you. This moment right now is a threshold. On one side lies the comfortable ignorance of before, where you could blame your sickness on genes, on age, on bad luck, where you could trust that someone else, someone with a degree on the wall, has your best interests in mind. On the other side lies responsibility. The responsibility of knowing that your health is not something that happens to you. It is something you create through the choices you make every single day. Through how you breathe, what you eat, how you move your body, what you think about, how you spend your energy and attention. The ancients were not asking people to blindly believe their systems. They were showing them how to observe their own experience and discover truth for themselves. That is what I am asking you to do now. Do not take my word for this. Take it to your own body. Notice what happens when you breathe deeply versus when you breathe shallowly. Notice how you feel after eating food that came from the earth versus food that came from a laboratory. Notice the difference between your energy when you are at peace and when you are stressed. Notice what happens when you spend time in nature versus when you are surrounded by screens and artificial light. The evidence is not in studies or statistics. The evidence is in your lived experience. Your body is talking to you constantly. Pain is not a signal to suppress with medication. It is a message. Fatigue is not a character flaw, it is feedback. Anxiety is not a chemical imbalance that requires a drug, it is information. What is your body trying to tell you? What is blocked that needs to flow? What truth are you not speaking? What fear are you holding in your tissues? These are not questions a doctor can answer for you, only you know. And when you start listening to your own body's wisdom instead of dismissing it as irrational, everything changes. Consider for a moment what your life would look like if you actually felt vibrant, not someday. Not after you lose weight or change jobs or find the right medication, but starting now, starting today. What if the energy you remember from childhood, that feeling of being able to do anything, that sense of wonder and aliveness, what if that was available to you right now? It is. It has always been there. It has just been buried under layers of suppression, distraction, and disconnection. The ancient systems knew that reclaiming your health meant reclaiming your wholeness. Not just treating symptoms, but restoring yourself to the integrated being that you are designed to be. Every single one of those ancient civilizations that understood vital energy also understood something else. They understood that healing is a spiritual process, not religious necessarily, but spiritual, meaning connected to something larger than yourself, connected to the earth that sustains you, connected to the sky that breathes into you, connected to the other beings around you, connected to the mystery of existence itself. Modern medicine has tried to remove all of this from healing, to make it purely mechanical, purely chemical, purely material. And in doing so, it has removed the most powerful healing force that exists, the force of meaning, of connection, of belonging to something greater than yourself. When a person feels connected to their community, their purpose, their place in the world, their immune system functions at a higher level. When they feel isolated, disconnected, without meaning, disease flourishes. The Framingham Heart Study, one of the longest-running medical research projects in history, found that loneliness is as predictive of early death as smoking. But you will not hear doctors prescribing community as treatment. You will hear them prescribing pills that address the symptom while the actual disease, the disease of disconnection, remains untreated. Think about what you are part of right now. You are part of a global awakening. Millions of people around the world are remembering what their ancestors knew. They are leaving conventional medicine not because they are anti-science, but because they are pro-health. They are discovering that the body's intelligence is far greater than the pharmaceutical model ever acknowledged. They are finding healing through ancient practices that should never have been forgotten. And they are realizing that the greatest conspiracy is not that this knowledge was hidden. It is that it was hidden in plain sight, written in ancient texts that anyone could have read, practiced in cultures that anyone could have learned from. We just were not taught to look there. Your role in all of this is to become a living example of what is possible when you work with your body instead of against it. When you trust your own experience over someone else's protocol. When you remember that you are not a collection of malfunctioning parts that need to be managed. You are a unified whole, an integrated system of physical, energetic, emotional, and spiritual dimensions that are all constantly communicating with each other. Heal one dimension and the others respond. Neglect one and the others suffer. This is why meditation heals trauma that years of talk therapy could not touch. This is why forgiveness can reverse autoimmune disease. This is why connecting with nature can resolve depression. This is why moving your body can clear anxiety. This is why speaking your truth can heal your throat. Everything is connected. And modern medicine's insistence on treating the body as separate systems in isolation from each other is not just outdated. It is actively harmful because it prevents people from understanding the root causes of their suffering. The question is not whether ancient medicine worked. It clearly did. Civilizations flourished. People lived with vitality. They aged gracefully without the degenerative diseases that plague us now. The question is how we integrate this wisdom with the genuine advances of modern times. How we take the best of both worlds. Emergency medicine and preventative energy work. Diagnostic imaging and intuitive diagnosis. Pharmaceuticals for acute crises and herbal medicine for chronic conditions. A true healing system would draw from all available knowledge rather than pretending that one approach has all the answers and all others are superstition. But that would require the medical system to admit that it does not have all the answers. That would require humility. That would require valuing health over profit. And until the incentive structure changes, until healing becomes more valuable than sickness, you cannot expect the system to transform itself from the inside. This transformation has to come from people like you deciding that you have had enough. Deciding that you are going to listen to your body. Deciding that you are going to remember what your ancestors knew. Deciding that you are going to take your health into your own hands. Start small, start with your breath, start with one meditation practice a day, start with paying attention to how different foods make you feel, start with spending time in nature without your phone, start with noticing the subtle energies in your body, start with speaking a truth you have been holding back, start with forgiving someone you have been angry at, start with moving your body in ways that feel good instead of ways that feel punishing. Start with any one thing that reconnects you to the wisdom that already lives inside you. And as you do, you will notice changes. Your energy will stabilize, your digestion will improve, your sleep will deepen, your mind will clear, your emotions will balance. And most importantly, you will begin to trust yourself again. You will stop looking outside for permission to be well. You will stop waiting for a doctor to tell you what your body needs. You will start listening to the ancient voice within you that has always known exactly how to be healthy. This is the real medicine, not the suppressed knowledge that was hidden in ancient texts, but the knowledge that was never hidden at all because it was always living inside you. Thank you for letting me share this with you. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next video in this series where we go even deeper into the ancient systems and how to apply them to your life today. Your ancestors knew, and now you know, the rest is remembering.